Welcome to Red Hill Lutheran School's State of the School Address, 50 years of preparing God's children to be His ambassadors. The more things seem to change, the more they stay the same. Ecclesiastes 1:9 says, "What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun." The saying, "the more things seem to change, the more they stay the same," was recorded in a hit song in 2006 by Corinne Bailey Ray. In actuality, this statement was first made by Jean-Baptiste Alphonse Karr back in 1849. For the last 50 years, our mission at Red Hill Lutheran School has been the same: to develop, nurture, and equip students to positively impact their world for Jesus Christ through a Bible-based, Christ-centered, well-balanced education that promotes the academic, spiritual, social, physical, and creative development of all students according to their unique learning styles, gifts, and abilities. We hope to develop young men and women who are ambassadors for Christ in the world. These are core beliefs that have endured through each of the 5 decades that RHLS has been a school. While these are constant, our teaching methodology continues to evolve as we discover more about how students learn. Looking back at our school's goals in the 1960s, it proves that RHLS has always wanted to prepare students for the modern age with a firm foundation grounded in faith. In the 1960s, we lived in an age of jets and missions to the moon. Today, we prepare students for a global environment where they need skills which we never could have conceived of in decades past, using 21st century learning tools that have surpassed the imaginations of our school's founders. RHLS has always based teaching on the California Content Standards so that we knew at a minimum, and I stress at a minimum, we were providing the same education a student would receive in our local Tustin and Irvine schools. We have now proactively integrated the National Common Core standards into our curriculum. These standards have been adopted by 48 states and have been developed by educators and key leaders in business and industry. Informed by the skills students need to be successful in both college and future careers, these new standards focus on cross-curricular integration, higher-order thinking, and technology integration. With our desire to prepare students for 21st century learning, we have developed a very progressive technology program. From iTouches in first grade, Google Docs in 3rd and 4th grade, and one-to-one iPads in middle school, our school has developed a strong infrastructure to put technology in the hands of students as learning tools to help them achieve academic goals. The goal of RHLS in 1972 was to prepare for this life and eternity. Advertisements from the time emphasized qualified teachers and a strong curriculum. Today, we still firmly hold these beliefs. Mrs. Tarkoff and I completed a 7-course Bible colloquy program at Concordia University last year, which led to a school-wide biblical integration program based on the 5 key biblical tenets. We have always tried to associate a Bible verse with subject lessons. This year, we have gone a step beyond in asking students to tell us, based on the tenets, what the lesson is revealing to them about God. For instance, in 6th grade math, Mrs. Sampson was teaching about the greatest common factors and asked students what they believed was the greatest common factor of human beings based on the tenet. The students used the mankind tenet and stated that all human beings were created by God in His image, that they are loved by God, that Jesus died for us all, and we are all sinners who need God. As a school, our curriculum is a vital component that forms a foundation for your child's education. We have a systematic curriculum review cycle where each year the staff examines the subject and a variety of California-approved curriculums in order to determine which best suits our mission and philosophy. Our research-based decisions are supported through teacher training, implementation, and ongoing review. As you can see, this keeps our curriculum current. Red Hill teachers are highly qualified. The great majority of our teachers are credentialed, and the few who are not are in programs to complete this goal by the end of next year. We have 7 teachers with master's degrees in education, and we continually participate in professional development. The school board and administration supports all of our staff being lifelong learners. Listed here are some of the staff developments provided by our school since 2008. Additionally, this year, 3 staff members are in the certification program for gifted and talented education, GATE education. 2 members have already been trained. Mrs. Tarkoff has brought the UCI writing project training to our school since 2008. All teachers at RHLS have undergone ACSI certification, which involves the study of our faith as a foundation for Christian educators. Teachers read books, attended staff development, including Bible study with Pastor Seth and morning devotions, watched videos, completed a 6-page paper on their personal philosophy of Christian education. This biblical component is combined with strong academic requirements as well. In the 1980s, like today, RHLS provided a rigorous academic program that demonstrated proven student results. RHLS students in 1982 were featured in the newspaper, with students scoring 1 to 2 years above the norm. We are pleased to say that our students still perform well above the norm. Our school uses the Iowa Test of Basic Skills and the COGAT. Our test scores have increased each year, due in large part to our well-trained teachers, our research-based curriculum, and our teaching methodology. Please refer to our test score handout for specifics. These are all research-based methods of instruction and learning that we implement here at Red Hill. These methods of instruction do not focus on rote memory skills, but require students to think for themselves, preparing them for college and beyond in the 21st century. I am now going to ask Mrs. Sharp, one of our first grade teachers, Mrs. Watts, one of our 5th grade teachers, and Mrs. Tarkoff, one of our middle school teachers, to share how we differentiate instruction at RHLS to meet the needs not only of the students working at grade level, but those who require a little extra challenge.
Red Hill Lutheran School differentiates curriculum to meet the needs of all students. A strategy currently being used in math to meet the needs of high-achieving students is curriculum compacting. The first step is to pre-test students prior to a new topic. This helps teachers to determine knowledge levels and flexible instructional groups. Teachers analyze the test data and group students based on knowledge and performance on the pretest. Enrichment work is given to individual students who exceed standards. Enrichment may also be given to the class if the majority of students perform high on a pretest question. All students are included in the lesson instruction and guided practice. Flexible instructional groups will be formed and children at higher levels will receive activities such as quick checks, enrichment work, and advanced center games. High-achieving students at Red Hill Lutheran School are not given more work, they are given higher-level work instead. Differentiation is also used with math facts. Students complete levels at their own pace, and faster learners can move on to master higher levels. Teachers also differentiate with technology. Lower elementary students use iTouches for daily drill and practice of math facts. Individual levels vary based on set completion and time. Guided reading is also a form of differentiated instruction in the lower grades at Red Hill Lutheran School. Guided reading is a literacy program based on the student's development of reading skills. Teachers test the students and analyze the data at the beginning of the year. Students are grouped by reading levels and behaviors. Reading groups are flexible and books are leveled. Higher level readers will receive more challenging texts like chapter books. Students' reading ability continues to be monitored with checklists and anecdotal notes. The reading groups are continually changing throughout the year. I would now like to introduce Mrs. Watts, one of our 5th grade teachers.
When we also differentiate instruction, we're also looking at how we're going to individualize the instruction for each student. We begin looking at the pacing. We try and meet kids wherever they're at, so we always begin with pre-testing, and then we end the lesson with post-testing. From there, we can establish where we want to go in meeting the kids' abilities. We do that with basically everything in our core subjects, but especially with reading and writing. We also look at scheduling. Students begin to make their own timelines for projects and at many times write their own rubrics for their writing lessons. This allows students to monitor time, which helps them in preparation for middle school. We also look at instructional strategies. We want to make sure that what we're teaching is not only hitting their learning modalities, but also peeking at their levels, looking for things that they're interested in. Research does show that when students make connections, they're also they're retaining whatever they're learning. So that's focusing more on finding things that they like to do and then relating it to what we're teaching. We're also looking at the usage of materials. We want to make sure that we're selecting materials that help students to make connections, relationships to bridge to other disciplines. We want materials that allow students to view different perspectives, especially with reading. So we're always looking for higher level reading skills, higher level reading books. This goes right into with our science and also our social studies. We also like to use junior grade books, which also are the higher level books. That gets them to look into looking at different perspectives and digging a little bit deeper through curriculum. This is an example of a fresh read from our Pearson online website. And what we do for differentiation in reading is we pick a selection from whatever week we're studying on, and we have the kids, we can individually go in and pick the different reading that we would like for each child to do. There are 3 different versions of the reading assessment which the students can take. So we can actually go in, select the students that we want to take the 3 different kinds of reading. One is more simplistic than the other, and the latter one would be more advanced reading. The questions are tiered questions, so they do get more challenging as we go. We like to do this because the students do it online. It shows the results immediately after they take the test. So right away, before I teach my lesson the next day, I will know whether I need to go back and remediate or whether I can go on and challenge. So this is, again, is just another way that we would differentiate in reading. We also have literature novels that we choose from in 5th grade, and we look at them, and when we are picking our novels, we're looking at thinking that goes on with the novels, the questioning, and again, the depth and complexity that we want to go in with each novel. The novels are a great teaching tool because they challenge students to venture further, deeper, and more elaborately than just teaching the skill of reading. Novels also allow students to talk about theme, concepts, topics, and also to just generalize about what they've been reading. We put kids into our literature circles from these novels to go more in depth, to talk about, again, the theme, to make generalizations, to give their perspective on things. And a lot of times we can actually have a much deeper conversation, which then leads into better writing skills. Literature circles actually allow students to actively engage with the text independently. Because of the open discussion, students can effectively use questioning skills that transfer across curriculum. Many students have different jobs that they use within the circle. But regardless of any job that they do have, all play an intricate part in the lit circles. Small groups also discuss in detail the knowledge that they have about the text. All students seem to really enjoy lit circles and absorb the novel or any literature that is discussed in a creative way. And now I would like to introduce Mrs. Tarkoff, who will talk about middle school. GATE training and certification has been done and is being done by teachers across grade levels, including those in 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, middle school, and administration. The focus of this is to differentiate learning instruction for all students, and there's 4 ways to do that, including accelerating the content at a faster pace, providing students different ways to learn, going into greater depth and greater complexity. And at Red Hill Lutheran School, we're already doing all of these different things, but we're going to take a more concentrated effort on clearly defining how we are doing it. The focal point of GATE programs is the use of depth and complexity icons. These give a common vocabulary for teachers and students. They include language of the discipline, details, patterns, trends, unanswered questions, ethics, big ideas, rules, over time and across disciplines and from multiple perspectives. From a journal article, From Educator to Educator, it says that depth and complexity gives gifted and advanced students a chance to develop a deeper, more complex, and extensive understanding of subject matter. At Red Hill Lutheran School, we believe that this opportunity should be available to all students as they are capable, and it's not exclusive to gifted and advanced students. One way that we can look at this is even something as simple as popcorn. Popcorn has ethical issues and trends and rules and details and multiple perspectives and changes over time, and something even as simple as this can be an opportunity for us to look at a deep lesson. Obviously, we've connected to the content standards and our curriculum. And as I mentioned, we believe this will benefit all students, not just those identified as gifted. I was recently subbing with my 6th graders for math when Mrs. Sampson was in Washington, D.C., and they saw the posters on the board and were asking me about it. And I told them it was for gifted education, but we're going to be doing it at Red Hill with all students. And one of the students said, "Gifted? I'm not gifted." And another student, before I had a chance to respond, said, "We're all gifted in different ways." And I thought that was really telling, that we've communicated to students that they all have unique abilities, and we can look at different things in different ways, and everyone has a different gift that God has given them. Another way that we can do this is in literature and American Revolution, grammar, math, and later on I'll explain a little bit how Red Hill is doing this currently. So for my gifted certification, I did a sample lesson. It was a lesson on nonfiction reading strategies. As a frequent guest speaker at the UCI Writing Project, one of my cohorts is Kelly Gallagher. He's an author and a teacher at Magnolia High School in Anaheim. He has an article of the week that he posts for high school students. And we've been using these this year with my 8th graders, because our 8th graders are capable of doing what high school students are at Red Hill. And also the new Common Core standards have emphasized the importance of this skill. This particular lesson, the students looked at an article on nuclear power plants, and then they read another article on shark fin hunting. So I modeled the strategies with one article, and then they went on to practice it with a different article. So this particular article was from the New York Times. I kind of had a crunch time for my class, and I needed some student samples, so I asked the students to read the passage and analyze the text with a partner, and then I wanted them just to complete an organizer, which otherwise known as a worksheet, and we're not a worksheet school. So my students took this challenge and didn't just do the typical worksheet that some other schools might ask their kids to do. Instead, they turned it into a creative poster like this one, which shows the pattern of what's been going on with the sharks that have been hunted for their fins. Another way that students have looked at patterns at Red Hill is
through digital timelines in history. Another examination of the article was through the perspective of trends. The students also do trends in science when they analyze data and make predictions about future outcomes. In my home economics class, students created a budget using Google spreadsheets, and then they forecasted their income versus expenses based on their assigned salaries. Another icon is multiple perspectives. So in this, students looked at the perspective of the marine biologist and the people who are hunting, and another class did the shark's perspective, which was pretty creative. We always look at that. In middle school, I can speak a lot of that because that's my home. But another example of that was students taking on different roles of delegates at the Constitutional Convention. Or in 6th grade, they write from the perspective of a hunter and gatherer. And then in literature, we analyzed the two different worldviews of evolution versus creationism in connection to a novel, The Evolution of Calpurnia Tate. Students looked at the ethics of whether, shark hunting is right or wrong, and as a Christian school, ethics is supreme. Another example of this is we studied the ethics of Tom Sawyer's choices in Mark Twain's novel as Tom Sawyer grew to spiritual maturity. Students also looked at the main idea and supporting details, and this is used frequently in reading and writing instruction. In middle school, we have a common rubric across science, history, and language arts so that students have clear expectations about this. The temple model is one of the GATE icons, and we've been using this as a graphic organizer for persuasive writing for years. Students also analyze detailed character traits and write compare and contrast essays. The language of the discipline is vocabulary, and this is taught through all subjects. And in middle school, there's a focus on this in the content areas for history and science, as well as language arts. Students learn Greek and Latin roots to support vocabulary development. So in summary, we are going to use the depth and complexity icons as a common vocabulary. Next year, it's going to be our focus for staff development and implementation throughout the classroom. But bear in mind that I hope I've made the point that we have been doing this with all of our students, and we believe that all of the students deserve the benefit of fully using their minds that God gave them and learning how to be higher ordered thinkers. So we look forward to working together with you as a team to bring this academic program and these new ideas to its greatest potential.